Welcome to the Bubba Army YouTube channel. Hello.
Not the
Yes,
foot,
we have a woman here. Hello.
Hi, this is Pedro, the pool guy's wife, the flight attendant.
Oh, yeah, the one that bangs all the pilots.
The one that has sex with all the pilots?
I used to, yes. Now I got a pool guy.
Well, no. But let's say PP, prior to Pedro.
Yes.
So prior to Pedro, like approximately how many years were you a flight attendant before Pedro?
20 years.
20 years before Pedro. So we can talk about that stuff because it's not being disrespectful to Pedro because he wasn't your husband.
Exactly.
All right. So 20 years. Now, I'm assuming that's when you probably are fairly young, like maybe in your maybe lower to mid-20s.
19, 20, 21, I think it was.
Like when you first started, I'm sure you're very attractive now, Pedro, the pool guy's wife. I'm sure you are, but you were probably even hotter then, right?
I think so.
Right. And so,
yeah,
like,
I think so. Pre-kid,
Pre-kid, pre-everything.
Pre-Pedro.
Pre-Pedro. So give me a typical, like you're 19, flying, no airlines mentioned, okay? No names.
None, yeah.
But flying for probably, I'm assuming, a very major airline that has, like, first class and all that kind of stuff. Like, because I got to think things back in the day got a little shadier when you were also dealing with, maybe affluent first-class customers or celebrities or things like that.
Pre-9/11, it was a lot more lax and a lot more fun.
Have you ever flown as an attendant for like a private?
No.
Because a lot of those charter type, the bigger privates have a flight attendant as well.
Right.
I think they get really
crazy.
Most.
Yeah. So you're 19. Was there a couple of like maybe older flight attendants that kind of broke you in being a rookie? Like you're this 19-year-old girl, like, listen, sister, here's how it goes. The captain.
No, it's absolute competition.
Oh, really?
It's absolute competition. Yeah, they don't want to compete.
No,
They'd rather push you out the door of the airplane.
Are they all vying for the captain? Like, is that what?
Well, usually, actually, the first officer is the more attractive one, though.
The FO.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, but like
he's the more attractive one.
Well, because he's probably younger, just by rank.
Yeah, he's usually younger. He works harder. He's got that arrogance coming about him. The captain's just arrogant and used up.
No, so the captain.
That first officer's like a fresh meat kind of deal.
Oh. So now would there become reputation be like this captain's used up, man? All the girls have gone through him.
And captains are arrogant. They just like kind of sit back and just bark out orders. Like the first officer is the one that actually flies the plane usually, unless something happens, and then the captain takes over.
Yeah, I mean they have more. I don't know. More zing.
Was it just assumed that when you guys were laid over that you guys were gonna be blasted? Was it just assumed?
Yeah, yes, it is pretty much like that. It used to be. Put it that way. It used to be It's a lot different now because there's so many younger flight attendants, and you have to be careful that you're not, going to get accused of anything. So a lot of the guys are cautious nowadays.
But now, do you think that there's still a lot of that goes on still?
Oh, yes. In fact, it got so bad that they've had to separate us. So they put the flight attendants in one hotel in a different zip code, is the pilots in another, because the wives were calling and saying that the flight attendants and the pilots were, cohabitating outside the marriage. So they separated us.
Now, would you have certain FOs that you preferred? You're like, oh, I got Jason today. And then all the girls, what is there, usually 3 or 4 flight attendants on a flight?
Yeah, anywhere from 3 to 5.
And would you guys all be competing because that guy had a reputation?
No. There was usually, I think there was a hierarchy in the flight attendant group. You just knew who was with who and what was happening. You could tell who was going to be, going where and doing what and doing who.
Now, what about passengers?
No, those are kind of off limits.
Well, no, but hold on. I mean, you're going to try to. I'm sure they're probably somewhat off limits, but you're going to try to tell me that if you didn't see a really hot guy or a celebrity or something like that in first class, you wouldn't try to pass your number or he pass it. I'm sure a lot of that happened.
I remember very well where O.J. Simpson tried to get my girlfriend to go to that sports memorabilia show with him in Las Vegas.
Whoa, that would have been a story.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been, yes. We remember that fondly, yes. That he spent the entire flight trying to get her to go.
Now it's just a yes or no. I probably can't get into too specifics, but were you ever part of the Mile High Club? Did you ever do it in the airplane?
Absolutely.
In
right
the captain's
in the cockpit,
seat?
on a full load. With a full load of people in the back. Yep.
Where did you do it in the laboratory, or did you just do it right there?
Nope, in the cockpit, right in the cockpit seats.
Well, now,
with the first officer standing right there.
And now was it with the captain?
Yes.
And the first officer was watching.
Yes.
Bubba's going to become a first officer quickly.
Yeah, but Pedro's wife said it's not like that anymore. Like it's
she's a little older now.
Too hard now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's too hard now.
Didn't Denzel Washington there was a Flight 42 or something like that?
I think it was called Flight or something.
Yeah, Flight.
Where they were doing the cocaine up there and,
Now, were there
nobody does any drugs.
Was there some really hot flight attendants that were maybe married, but then they had we've often heard rumors. By the way, this is a current flight attendant, and she's been a flight attendant for 20 plus years, and I'm fascinated by the world of flight attendants. So that's a good listener of the show, Pedro the pool guy. His wife is this woman, and every time he calls, I'm like, he's let it be known that his wife is a flight attendant, and I've always Pedro, have your wife call in because I got so many questions about the flight attendant industry. So that's kind of giving everybody a backfill as to who I'm talking about. Now,
absolutely,
were there just some knock-dead gorgeous flight attendants, probably including yourself, that the guys were just it was the first officer and the captain would literally be trying to get it?
I had a relationship like that for quite a long time where I was dating both of the pilots and we all flew together. Quite often.
Both of them?
Would you just have a threesome?
They were best friends in college, and then they met at the airline, and then lo and behold, we were on a layover in Orlando one time and met up at a Fridays and had some tequila, and it became a threesome for quite a while.
So you had to tell Pedro that?
I did tell Pedro that one.
Well, Pedro probably thought it was pretty hot. Did he not, or no? Was he mad?
I think any guy that wants to hear about his wife's ex adventures is a pretty good guy. He took it with a grain of salt.
So now, but it was you guys had a full-blown threesome relationship. The airlines probably didn't know that because they wouldn't have scheduled you, right?
Oh, no. Yes, absolutely not. And actually the back end or the other flight attendants didn't really know. They thought I was, with the one guy. They didn't know that it was both.
Now, would the other guy have to sneak in? The one guy that they thought you were with was probably the captain, right?
Yes.
And they didn't know that the first officer's, in on it too. So would the first officer have to sneak in?
No, he was just there. He was just there. He was kind of like a little pet,
Now, would you guys
and I
sleep?
mean that in a good way.
Would you all sleep in the same? Would you all spend the night together, or would you guys eventually go back to your own rooms?
No. It's best to go to your own rooms after all the fun is done.
And how long would you guys go for? A couple hours?
It'd be a couple hours. Yeah, it'd be a few hours. Yeah, it was a good time. I have fond memories of that.
Now, how many of those? How many threesomes of those situations did you have?
Just that one. That one particular.
And now there were some, I'd gotten various urban legends that captains and maybe even flight attendants had a whole nother set of family in a different city. They may be stationed in Fort Lauderdale where they live with one, with their husband and their husband and their kids. But then in Denver, they got a whole nother family over there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I can't really say too much, but I don't know about family per se, but they definitely, there's a lot of extracurricular activities going on outside the marriages.
No, go ahead, Blitz.
Remember how Dan said he wanted to pay for me to go to flight school?
Right.
I'm in.
Yeah.
So is Bubba. Bubba's ready to change.
Now, did the baggage handlers get in on this action, or the front gate attendants, or is it all just
baggage handler?
No. It's just the flight crew and the back end.
Now, was it ever you did it? You're on a flight before Pedro, prior to Pedro. Did you get laid every night, or was there some nights that the crew wasn't anybody you were compatible with, or you didn't know a guy in that town?
It was back in the day before Pedro, it was very rarely that you didn't know somebody because the airline was kind of small. So you kind of knew everybody.
Now, would you go out of care? Let's say that let's say that you're with United. I don't know that you're probably not, but you know a Delta captain. Like, would you cross mingle brands like that?
Yes. You come across because you can non-rev or jump seat on other airlines usually for free. So you do meet other people within the industry, and it's a one convoluted industry. It's just all intermixed and everybody's.
It's kind of like a lifestyle in itself, is it not?
It is like a life. Yeah, like I told Pedro when he signed on, I said there can't be any jealousy or there just can't be.
Where was the best sit? Now, let's say you're not getting airline D, but you're getting private citizen D. Where was the Where was the best city for private citizen D?
Chicago.
Oh, that came really quickly.
Is that where you're from?
Is that where you're from?
No, I'm from the Midwest, Ohio-ish area.
But Chicago, why? Just because O'Hare's so big, or the city's so big?
The business guy traveling. A lot of businessmen travel from Chicago. It's a good-looking city. The men are a little bit beefier, good-looking, nice, polite, pleasant.
Midwestern.
Yeah, it's just a nicer.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, where was a city that sucked? Like
New York.
You hated getting private D.
You just loathe the passengers from New York. You just loathe them. I mean, it's horrifying. I don't know how that group of people can coexist on the planet with normal people.
What is
and I'm not saying all normal. I'm not saying all New Yorkers are abnormal. I'm just saying that the clientele that we attract, not so much.
What do you look like?
Yeah, what do you look like, Miss Pedro? That's all we know you as. So
I'm 5'4", blonde, chubby now. And
when you say chubby, like 140?
155, 160. We'll say 160.
Got a nice thick ass.
Pedro would defer that.
No, but when you were
the one thing we changed.
When you were rolling, like when you were really dialed in, at let's say 1920.
I did have big breasts, and I was probably 130, 135.
Mm-hmm. And a freak.
I was cute, and then then you go through a chubby phase. The airline makes you chubby.
Can we get her score, Bubba?
Makes you chubby.
How many kids do you got, Miss Pedro?
One child, and then 2 stepchildren. So
well, but only one out of your vag.
Yep.
Because we have
one out of the cut.
One out of the cut. There you go. We have a score that we give women called their vag score, and it's how many children you've had through your vaginal area plus how many men over 8 inches you've had.
Oh Lord.
Oh God.
Oh Lord. Her initial answer was, "Oh Lord."
Oh man.
Oh Lord. Well, you'll have to defer to Pedro on that. But
did Pedro add to the vag score or not?
He did.
So listen, Miss Pedro, I love somebody. Now, Miss Pedro, any being with other flight attendant stories?
Absolutely. 9/11 was a horrible time for this country, but boy, did we as an airline have a good time.
What do you mean?
Just nakedness running around hotels. We were all naked all the time. Just running around the corridors of the hotels.
What?
The girls.
What's wrong with you?
With girls, boys with boys. It was a very sad time. We were all mourning.
Oh, so you're saying 9/11, so you guys coped your sadness with debauchery and just orgies and nakedness.
Oh, absolute, yes, absolute orgies, yes, absolute that night. I can remember that fondly too.
So the night of 9/11, while the nation's freaking out. And that was in
Chicago again.
You had an orgy on 9/11.
Yes.
How long?
Just a person pop, because you said girls with girls and men with men the whole time.
Yes, it was quite quite interesting.
How long did they have you guys locked down in a hotel? Like for a couple days?
Well, during that time, actually, I think we were down for like 4 days, and then an additional 4 days. So we were like there for 8 or 9 days.
And
like
the airlines got to pay for it all because
Oh, sure.
they're not making you guys pay for it.
No, sure. And then that was unexpected, so they had to like buy us clothes. We were at
Now, did you happen to have an attractive crew on the?
Yes.
Now, what day? What was your on 9/11? What was your flight that day?
Actually, we were supposed to come from Chicago to Fort Lauderdale, and we were just starting to get up and get ready to go, and then everybody turns on the news and finds out this horrible thing.
So if you're starting to get ready, you probably had like maybe a 10:30 departure, something like that.
It was closer to probably noonish.
Noonish departure. You're getting up around 8, 9. What time typically? What would be your itinerary on when you had to get to the? Let's say on a noon departure. What time did you have to be at the plane?
We have to be at the plane about an hour before.
And that's actually checked through.
Yeah.
But back then it was. It was just you didn't really have much of a check, did you? Right?
No, because there was no TSA. It was all private security then. So you just say hi and walk through the metal detectors.
Show them your I'm a flight attendant when you PO.
Yeah, and then everybody's like, all right, whatever. And then you get on the plane, you do your checks, and you're on your way. And then now, that would take an hour.
So here you are. You got a noon departure, Chicago to Fort Lauderdale, probably direct, right?
Yep.
And you probably, are in your hotel room. You start getting rumblings of some stuff going down, and you probably watched it unfold on TV like everybody else did.
Absolutely. It was probably the worst, days of all of our lives at that point.
Now, are you getting reports back from like dispatch or whoever you guys report back to with regards to your flight? Like, when did your flight get canceled?
It just didn't. You just knew nothing was happening. There was no communication. There was no way to communicate at that point. All the phone lines were busy and all the phone lines were dead.
So you knew not to even attempt to go to the airport, right?
Yeah, we just knew that the world was shutting down at that point.
Now, at that point, now you were probably in the same hotel as your captain, right?
Yes.
And has he gathered up the troops, so to speak, and you guys kind of all gotten together and you guys are watching this?
There must have been like maybe 8 crews there anyways, overnighting. So,
right.
There's tons and tons of people, plus other airlines. And then, everyone starts gathering in the lobby to see what's happening.
So when's the orgy start?
Oh, later in the evening. Everybody, brings out their little vodka to calm themselves. And, the tequila starts coming. And then all of a sudden it just spirals into a sex.
And so you can remember that day and the crew. Was it a crew that you were familiar with that you were flying with that day?
Very, very close friends.
And was it a crew that you were sexual with?
Yes, especially the girls.
Oh, so hold on. So prior to 9/11, you'd already messed around with the crew that you were flying with. Absolutely. On 9/11. You'd already messed around with the girls.
Yes, we had some orgies in the past at their houses, like little parties, little soiree.
Now, when you say their houses, is that with their husbands or are they single?
One was their husband was there, and then the other time there was no husband. Nobody was married.
I thought radio we should have got into the airline industry instead of radio. Yeah. Since I got more ass than I got. So now, but on your 9/11 crew, had you been with the captain or FO prior?
No, I had not. He was actually my roommate.
Who? What?
He was my roommate.
The captain or the
captain.
FO?
The captain was my roommate.
In real life?
He had a sailboat parked outside my apartment, so we shared a sailboat slip in an apartment.
But you're going to try to tell me you guys weren't blasting?
Nope, we weren't. He was not.
Was he gay?
No, he was just not good looking.
He was like Anna's friend.
All right, so you're with the crew. You're with on your 9/11 assigned. Your 9/11 assigned crew. You'd messed around with a few of the girls. The captain was your roommate that you weren't attracted to. How about the FO?
I don't remember him.
All right, so that night the entire country's riveted. The airline industry, the industry that you work in, is by far the most affected industry of this national crisis. Like this is I hate to use a bit, but your job is like ground zero of this particular issue.
Yeah.
And so At what?
And that's how we dealt with it.
So you get drunk. You know, you guys are, and then where does when does it start? Does your girlfriend just say, "Hey, come over to my room," and then what happens?
Well, she likes to take her top, correct, and walk around the hotel. She was running in circles because the hotel had this big courtyard, so you could run around in circles. So she was topless, putting her boobs on everybody's windows into their room.
Where's this girl at right now?
She's married and she's totally changed now. But
so she's putting her jugs on everybody's glass because you guys are staying on an embassy suites courtyard kind of deal, or I'm assuming
kind of deal like that.
Do you like to remind her where she came from?
The rooms.
Right. So she's now coming and putting her jugs on everybody's glass, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so at that point, you just invite her in?
That starts everybody going. Everybody's now,
topless.
doing more shots and getting more, and then more girls become topless. And
when do you become topless?
I actually don't think I was topless. I think I took off my pants.
All right, so you got your kitty hanging out.
You're
saying,
porky pigging it.
You're porky pigging it.
I still had my underwears on.
Okay.
But I was running around with no pants.
Right. And captains, they got their wieners out?
Just one testicle.
I can remember a couple. Yeah, I can remember a couple salivating.
You know how there's been so many documentaries about 9/11?
Yeah, I've never seen this one.
We need to do this one about what did the airline industry do for the 48 or
well, the rest of the nation was grieving.
While the buildings were crashing down, there were flight attendants in Chicago showing their jugs.
Refusing to let Al-Qaeda win.
Yeah. Al-Qaeda killed everybody except the flight attendants. So
we had to grieve somehow.
Right. So you guys did it start girl on girl and then you guys mixed in some dudes?
She was always so good, she was my favorite.
Good at her stuff.
She just licked.
Okay.
Right. She was just really, really good at being a lesbian.
Yes, she was really, really good. And so it made it very easy. So, she just starts up and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I can do this.
And then next thing you know, there's a crowd?
Then next thing you know, there's at least a couple more people.
Guys
Not
or
a
girls?
crowd, I wouldn't say. Both.
Right, and then,
that poor captain that I was not attracted to, my roommate, comes sashaying in and he's like, well, can I get some? I'm like, but not for me.
Did he get any, poor little guy?
You guys
He did.
Now, did you have some captains that were like, no, we're just, I know he's a four-striper, but no.
Well, yeah. Actually, a couple of the guys were getting very upset. They weren't getting upset that we were all naked, but they were getting upset because that meant they were losing their jobs that night.
What do you mean losing their jobs? Oh, they were, because the airline industry. The airline industry was, going to have to literally, crash. So a lot of them had to be furloughed after that. Now, but was it literally, you said 4 days, then 4 days. So were you just a complete Roman orgies for 8 days?
For about 4 days. We had to go back to work after that 4 days. Oh. And then it became serious.
So, but after 4 days, was it just were you exclusively with girls or were you with guys too?
No, it was still guy. I always liked guys, but the girls were still there. And then, we partied so hard, I had to go to the hospital when I got back to Fort Lauderdale because my liver was so bad.
Really?
Gave yourself liver cirrhosis?
I gave my liver was just
unable to process, filter all the crap.
From all the alcohol and drugs and stuff?
Exactly. That happened when we were out in Las Vegas, too. We used to stay out in Las Vegas for 6 or 7 days at a time.
That hasn't even happened to Lummy yet.
That is so cool that my flight attendant that's supposed to save my life when we hit the water, she's got liver issues because she's partying so hard in Vegas. She's got from the ER.
Yeah, partying with the captain and first officer that's flying the plane.
Yeah.
Yep. Fresh with the hospital band on and everything, right?
Now, so you didn't get any on the 9/11 orgy. You didn't hook. You probably was either another airline or another crew because you said you weren't attracted to your crew's guys.
No, I didn't like any of our guys that night.
But you found some, right?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I can't remember that. I'm sure we did because we had so much fun that.
You should write a book. You really should.
We've always said that. All of us have always said that. The things that we see, the things that we encounter, the things that we've done, people have written books.
Have you seen did you see that
book, Bubba? You should do a podcast with the cougar.
Yeah, I should do a podcast with you. The flight attendant cougar.
I would love that. In fact, there's so many people that would, when I tell I just wish I would have kept track of everything.
Don't you wish you would have kept a journal?
22 years.
Don't you wish you would have kept a journal? Be like, okay, it's Chicago to Fort Lauderdale today. There's a couple of cute guys in first class. There's
I wish I would have.
A-hole in 14C that's giving me a problem. I'm flying with a first officer who I've blasted a lot. He's got a 12-inch penis. The captain's a little old. I don't like him. He's a little bit of a dick. But I have scissored the second scissored 2 of the flight. Now, would you ever get in? Would you ever be flying with a couple flight attendants that you'd hooked up both, and they were got like a jealous
pilot?
So at one,
how about that? Well, whole crew that you've actually had sex with. How about that?
With everybody.
Yes.
From the captain to every flight attendant you've been with.
Yes.
So what happens on that night? Who gets it?
You go out for dinner, you go out for drinks, and then see what happens. And usually, if it's been like that, you've been with everybody, then it's kind of just like a toss of the coin, I guess.
But was there ever a point when you'd been with everybody that you'd be like, let's listen, I've been with you, Lisa, and I've been with you, Ron. Let's just have a threesome tonight.
Yeah, yeah. That's how that started. That all those have started. It starts one-on-one, and then it bring in another.
Now, were you on the pill back then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys use protection too?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Some did, some don't.
You didn't like condoms. Don't lie.
No. I don't like condoms. However,
I love it.
Nobody likes condoms.
Some of the guys are dirty, and some of the girls are dirty. Me being one.
How many STDs did you get?
How many STDs did you have over the years?
None, thankfully.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Just the herp on the lips.
Oh, you got the herp on the lips?
Kids get that,
Yeah, kids get that.
Because the parents kiss them or someone kiss them on the face.
Grandma was all over your face. For real.
That's how most people get it.
Flight attendant parents
My
kiss them on
mom
the
gave it
lips.
to me at birth.
Yeah. But hey, listen, as long as it stays above the chest, we got no problems with that.
Exactly.
When you're when you're going to have an outbreak, right? So you just,
So you never even got chlamydia?
Never
a yeast with a pH kicker, nothing?
The fish smell. Wow, that's every chick.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Wow. Did you ever I gotta watch Pedro's wife? I gotta watch how I say this because we're on regular radio, okay? So I gotta watch how I say this. Did you ever? Because the flight attendants used to dress a little cuter than they do now.
Oh yeah.
They had the pantyhose with a little business skirt. Back in the day. Did you ever? Oh, I gotta be careful. Did you ever act as a flight attendant after having freshly just been made love to by the captain, and you just pulled your pants up and left?
From the cockpit, yes.
Oh, from the cockpit.
Yeah, she can't shower.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you gotta.
Now, did
pull yourself together and walk out of the cockpit with 100 and
right? Did
200 people watching?
Did any of the people know what just happened?
No.
But
not at all.
But how long could you? You couldn't be up there for 45, 50. It had to be a quickie.
Oh no, it's fast. It's
right.
Real fast. But think about it. In that stressful situation, how fast would you be done?
Well, quick. I could, us guys can determine whether we're quick or long. Right, Blitz, if you got to bust off a quickie or if you got a long session Willie here.
Yep.
We all know. It's just it's a little thing that we got. It's like a gorilla instinct that we have.
Yeah.
We know.
Did you ever feel bad that you were distracting the pilots and the plane might go down and you kill a bunch of people because you wanted to have sex?
No.
It's just a little turbulence.
That's what autopilot's for.
Okay.
They don't fly. No, they don't fly.
All right. I don't know.
Anna,
I'm aren't they there for a reason?
Anna, let me tell you about the airline industry by today's standards, and she'll even tell you. It's so autopilot out, they don't even land it and take you to the gate. For real.
Yeah, it auto lands. Well, if the airplane has it, it can auto land.
But most pilots, I do know some commercial pilots, and they're like, yes, it can auto land, but we still hand land it just so we keep our skills up. Like most captains
okay.
still.
Exactly.
But it pretty much flies itself.
Yes.
They land it.
It flies itself. In fact, you're not even allowed to hand fly. I mean, you're not allowed to hand fly. In flight, it has to be on autopilot.
Right.
Okay.
After a certain. Like again, and I think I'm right, Blitz, in the fact that
Takeoff and landing.
That's just so the guys keep their skills up.
They do it for fun, basically.
The autopilot can do that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Sorry, didn't know.
I heard the autopilot will take you right to the goddamn gate.
Yep. From the gate to
Yeah,
the
I
gate.
mean, it's so advanced. I mean, now they're trying to work on where, you only have one pilot up there, but you can't because of all the suicidal pilots now.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Two grabbers ever worth
Now, of
1,000
course, you're
bits.
married now to Pedro, and you would never do this. But like,
No.
do you
Right,
do you know any of your girlfriends that are still breaking a little something off in the cockpit?
No, I don't actually. Kind of everybody now in the last 5 years has kind of grown up. We're all in our 40s now.
Is that what you told Pedro?
Yeah. When's the last time you got it on in the cockpit?
When's the last time you and Pedro did it?
Well, Pedro is staying home from work today, so he's
Probably got some on
he's going to be
deck.
asking for some now.
Yeah, he's probably all worked up on the story, and he's already at full attention. To be honest with
Yeah,
you.
he just walked back in the door and he's got this big giant smile on his face.
He's like, wrap that story up, bitch. I got something for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna play Captain
Pedro is
Robinson
idol.
here. We're playing
our
Four Striper.
3-year-old,
Pedro's
our
in the chat. Said,
3-year-old
doesn't Bubba need to go to break?
What's that about your 2-year-old?
Our 3-year-old talks. Is that Bubba
See?
on the radio?
Listen, Pedro's wife, and we can just simply call you that. I'd love to do like a podcast with you about the industry.
I have so many more questions.
I would love to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, and that's what we'll call you, Pedro's wife. You fly for, ABC Airlines.
I would love that.
So
It would be a lot of fun. There's a lot to talk about.
well, tell Pedro
Good and bad.
to give me permission on some way I can get a hold of you, respectfully, and whether that's through email or text or whatever.
Pedro will handle
I don't
it.
want to be shady. Give me Pedro's information. He can put us together, and I would love to do. I mean, Anna, I find this industry fascinating.
It really is interesting. I mean,
It
I'm
really
more
is.
surprised that
Especially
Pedro.
pre-9/11.
I'm surprised that Pedro was cool with you continuing to be a flight
Well,
attendant.
Pedro doesn't have any good
I'm
pool
actually
guy
surprised,
stories.
too. He's a good guy, though.
And
He's a good guy.
we want Pedro to have all these stories, and he doesn't.
No.
I got stories for Pedro too. Be like, hey, Pedro, and then he'd be like, hey, I was cleaning Mrs. McGillicuddy's $7 million.
I do have some great stories of some private, like you said, private airline. I never flew on a private airline, but I do know people who have,
Yeah,
and
they
I've
get
been
crazy,
part
too.
of that. I've been part of that, the extracurricular activities.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. The next time I talk to you, I want to talk about all the. And you say that you didn't, but all the passenger D you got because you had to get some.
Yeah, there's been a few over the years,
Yeah, and how that worked
but
out.
very little.
I understand very little, but you were a good-looking flight attendant that was in
My
a hotel.
personality was more the attractive part of me at that point.
Oh.
But I've begged
They're
Pedro.
like, want to bang? And she was like, yeah.
But no, but I've begged Pedro, be like, hey, it's Pedro, and I was going to this $7 million mansion, and Mrs. McGillicuddy, whose husband was the #1 lawyer in town, and he was at work. I was going to skim her leaves and getting her pH chlorine Willie getting ready, and next thing you know, she comes out in a full-length, lingerie deal and tells me, I want to see her skimmer.
You said Pedro would be like, I just
Pedro's-
cleaned it and left.
Pedro's walked in on a guy, guys jerking off all the time in their backyard.
Yeah, there was always guys, not girls.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So listen, Mrs. Pedro, I need to either put you on hold.
We got her number.
Oh, we got her number?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'd love to do a podcast, with you occasionally about, the naughty flight attendant or something.
Hell yeah.
I would love that.
All right. Thank
Well,
you.
it was a pleasure.
Thank you,
finally
Miss-
getting to talk to you guys.
Likewise, Miss Pedro, and thank you for the stories.
You're very welcome. I
now-
hope you guys have a lovely week.
Now, go out and just really give Pedro some good ass now.
I'll try to.
Please do.
And I'll be saying goodbye, with my little wave, my bye-bye hands.
Yeah, your bye-bye hands.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mama. Take good talking to you.
Nice to talk to you guys.
But
Man,
Wow.
I swear to God, I could talk about that all day.
I know. We almost did.